Since the moment Tom Coughlin walked out of that door in 2015, wouldn't even shake John Mara's hand. Followed by Jerry Reese packing up his office and leaving, we've been lost. We've been a franchise headed in all the wrong directions. And we tried the old school approach with Dave Gettleman. We tried the modern analytics approach with Joe Schoen. And where's it gotten us? A 2-11 record, a roster with no depth, and a fan base that is just tired of losing and being a laughingstock of the NFC East. Today I'm going deep. Pause. I'm going to compare the Dave Gettleman era to the Joe Schoen era. Who drafted better? Who managed the cap better? And who is truly responsible for this mess that we keep finding ourselves in? But before we get into the ugly, I want to talk about something that's actually good about the Giants. Because there was some really cool news this week about two legends who remind us what Giants pride actually looks like. We need to recalibrate real quick. It was announced this week that Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin are officially semifinalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026. Yo, and in a season that's just been plain awful, let's just pause and really appreciate that. I mean, we talk a lot about the culture of this team on this show. These guys was culture. Tom Coughlin didn't care about positional value or analytics. He cared about discipline. He cared about being 5 minutes early. He built a team that was tough. He had dogs. And Eli? Yo, we took him for granted. 15 years, never missed a game due to injury. We really took that for granted. I mean, in an era where you got quarterbacks who can't stay healthy or who care more about their brand in the game, Eli Manning was there every single Sunday. 2 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs. Yo, the selection committee got to get this right and do the right thing. Put these guys in the hall together. Personally, I'm really proud of Eli. I still wear his jersey. He's funny as hell. I watch the Manning cast when I'm watching Monday Night Football instead of the ESPN version. And I'm proud of our coach, man. TC gave us some really good memories. Our playoff runs to winning those Super Bowls were epic. And when you look at what we have now, those memories are really the only thing that we got to hang our hats on. Old memories. All right, so let's get into this general manager comparison. Dave Gettleman versus Joe Schoen. And so many people, they've been making big fusses about how bad Gettleman was. Oh my God, you couldn't turn on any sports talk radio show without them talking about it. But with this current regime, I don't know that Dave Gettleman looks that bad. Or maybe they're just both awful. And it's kind of like that situation where you had to cut off 2 toes and save the foot. Both are bad, right? But at least with one, you only lost 2 toes and you got to keep your foot. I don't know. Maybe it's something like that. But when you look at these 2 general managers, and let's start with the personnel and free agency decisions that they made. Gettleman's philosophy was really simple. He had to hog Molly, build the trenches, fix the O-line, stop the run approach. And did he fail? Yeah, he failed. He tried, but he absolutely failed. He overpaid veterans. And get ready for some PTSD, y'all. Remember Nate Solder? 4 years, $62 million? What was he thinking paying that man all that money? He was not a good left tackle in New England. He didn't protect Tom Brady well. What made him think he was going to protect Eli Manning well? He was done. He was a revolving door. He was a disaster. And what about Kenny Golladay? Kenny Golladay did big things in Detroit. He was the 50-50 ball guy. 4 years, $72 million. Maybe the worst signing in Giants history. He only scored one touchdown over a 2-year span. One touchdown. And that was in a garbage game. Week 18, 2023, season's done. Davis Webb threw the touchdown pass to him. Only thing good about it was against the Philadelphia Eagles. But Gettleman, he fell in love with names. He thought name recognition meant we were going to have instant elevation at a position. It didn't work. He tried to buy a locker room. When he left, we had no money, a bad roster, and we're in a deep hole. So let's look at Joe Schoen. He comes in with a scalpel, and he says he's going to fix the cap. And to his credit, he did clear the books, fix the cap in his first year. But then he blew it all up. He gave Daniel Jones a contract, 4 years, $160 million. Even though Gettleman drafted Jones, Schoen paid him. And Schoen looked at 15 games of slightly above average play, got into the playoffs. He played well that year. And then he anchored our franchise to this quarterback who he later determined wasn't the guy. And because he paid Daniel Jones, he couldn't pay Saquon. He couldn't pay Xavier McKinney. I mean, he probably could have if he got really creative with these guys, but he didn't. Instead, he let our best playmaker and one of our best defensive players walk right out the door. That still pisses me off. Now Jones, he out there doing big things in Indianapolis, but at the time when he was here, he was trailing off, and maybe he needed a fresh start in a new town with new teammates, because he out there having a good time, about to go into the playoffs, and he's having the success that he always was capable of having, and good for him. You know, so Gettleman, he lit money on fire with bad free agent signings. And Joe Schoen, he did the same thing by giving Daniel Jones all that money. Pick your poison. But I'd argue the worst part about that whole thing is letting Saquon Barkley go to Philly. That's a sin we ain't ever going to forget. We ain't ever going to forgive him for that anywhere but in a division. Even Mara said it. But he goes to Philly and wins the Super Bowl the next year. It'd be crazy if Daniel Jones wins the Super Bowl this year. Not likely going to happen, but the irony would be crazy. I mean, obviously hindsight is 2020. Who could have known? But it's still on his record. It's still on his record. And when you talk about the draft, this is where things got a little bit different. You know, Gettleman, he's arrogant, old school mentality. He just kind of stuck in his ways. Like, he relied on a methodology that was quickly eroding, particularly in this technological age. Like, he mocked and called them computer folks. But when you look at his first round draft hits, Andrew Thomas, franchise left tackle. Dexter Lawrence, one of the best nose tackles in football. Both of these guys are Pro Bowlers. These are two Hall of Fame caliber players. And Dave Gettleman found them. Yeah, he missed on DeAndre Baker. I still can't believe how that blew up in his face. Gun charges or something, if I remember correctly. And then, oh my God, Kadarius Toney. What a disaster. But he did lay the foundation on both sides of the trenches. He's got two centerpieces on offense, one on offense and one on defense. What about Joe Schoen? He had two top 7 picks in his first draft. Kayvon Thibodeau and then Evan Neal. Now, Thibodeau ain't a bust. Is he a game wrecker? No, he got a lot of flashes. He's just a little bit inconsistent, but I like him a lot. Evan Neal at 7, at this point, let's be honest, he's a bust. And I really hoped he'd get a shot at guard. Remember Eric Flowers? He was a bust too. They moved him to guard in Washington and he played well. And they had him practicing there in training camp. For some reason, they just like GVR more than they like Evan Neal. Maybe they just over him. Whatever it was, it just didn't work out. And then we also passed on some other better options that we could have taken at right tackle, but we didn't. We drafted a guy who can't block. It was awful. I'll never forget the post-game interview where he was getting a lot of criticism. And he said, "You think I care what people who flipping burgers got to say about my game?" You should have cared, bro. You really should have cared. And then when you look at the development, Deonte Banks, another first-round pick, he's regressed. He looks lost. I mean, I think it has more to do with the scheme, the system, and coaching, because he didn't look this bad under Wink. But lately, he hasn't looked good. And Jalen Hyatt, who they traded up for, who Joe Schoen gave up draft capital to acquire, he can't even get on the field. Gettleman's picks, Thomas, Lawrence, they got better. Shane's picks, Neal and Banks, they got worse. And Neal ain't even going to be here next year. That's telling. It tells me that this regime cannot consistently identify talent, and worse, they can't coach up players and develop them. So I also want to talk about how culture is really big. Since Jerry Reese left, like, we've been really just grasping at straws. Gettleman tried to be the tough guy, and it was toxic. Like, the locker room just fell apart. Joe Judge had guys running laps until they quit. And I like to forget about that. But Joe Judge, I don't know if you guys remember this, but during the COVID year, the Giants had an opportunity to make it into the playoffs. And it wasn't until the Philadelphia Eagles tanked that season that we were not able to get in. Granted, we would have been 7-9 going in. We would have still been in playoff contention. In fact, the fact that Joe Judge was able to string together a couple of victories at the end of that season, that's probably why he was extended another year. But he wasn't the right guy either. That was a Gettleman guy. You know, Shane and Dable were supposed to be the Giants' saviors. Like, they won a playoff game in year 1. And we thought the Giants was back. Yo, it felt really good. We finally got to see what our team can do. But it was a mirage. The culture right now, it's soft, man. Like, we got players that started looking like they didn't even want to be here. Saquon was one of them. We got a general manager who currently shows up 30 minutes late to his own bye-week press conference. We got a team that gives up 33 points in the fourth quarter of a game that they dominated. Gettleman went 19-46, and Joe Schoen is going to finish the season around 20-40-1, 20-43-1. Like, the records are virtually the same. The misery, the only difference is Gettleman was arrogant about it, and Shane was kind of quiet and reserved about it. But the results, not much different. Not much different. I mean, who failed worse? I think Gettleman left the roster in, like, really bad shape, in a deep hole with no money. And Joe Schoen came along, and he had the chance to dig us out, but instead, he poured concrete over us with the Daniel Jones contract, and then let some really good talent walk. And where are we? We right back where we started. But at least we got Easy E and TC to look forward to going into Canton. I hope they get in this year. I don't know that they will. I don't know that the selection committee is going to do the right thing, but I am very, very hopeful. That's the only thing that this franchise, in my opinion, right now has going for them, other than a week away from TV where we don't have to watch them not play well again. And I'll say one other thing before I wrap it up tonight. When the Giants return from their bye week, they're going to be playing. They've got 4 games left. 3 of the games that they have against the Vikings, the Commanders, and the Raiders, they should absolutely win those games. Maybe not so much the Commanders because for whatever reason, Jaden Daniels seems to be like Giants kryptonite right now. But historically, we've handled the Commanders. So they should win at least 2 of these games. I'm honestly not going to be impressed if they do. It's not going to change my mind about Joe Schoen if they do. I think Joe Schoen is a disaster. I don't think he's done enough to acquire good talent for our team. I think at this time, we need to move on. I think there are better options out there who would have done at least the same job Joe Schoen did, but could have done better. Some of his picks were pretty easy. You don't not pick Abdul Carter if he's sitting there. You do not pick Malik Neighbors if he's sitting there. Kayvon Thibodeau, not mad at the pick. Has he reached or has he delivered overall 5th pick status? I don't know that he has, but I still like him. But these are guys that other teams would have picked anyway. That other general managers would have picked anyway. I'm sorry, but when I look at Dave Gettleman and I compare him to Joe Schoen, I don't see much of a difference. And the truth of the matter is, with all Joe Schoen's toys, with all the analytics, with all of the technology, with all the scouts that he's got, with all the information that's funneled to him, I mean, Gettleman didn't even use Twitter to look up different player profiles and information that might be floating around out there. Joe Schoen has all that, plus tools and information that we aren't privy to. He knew the disciplinary issues that existed with Abdul Carter. Why weren't they addressed sooner? Why is it all of a sudden one of the biggest discussions that we're having about the number 3 overall draft pick? I'm not impressed with Joe Schoen. And the truth is, he's probably going to be kept as our general manager for another year. So I'm preparing for an eventuality that does not excite me, that he's going to be here. Do I think him being here is going to be a deterrent to attract the right head coach for this job? No, I don't think that, because I think that the head coach is going to have the freedom to choose his staff and do the things he needs to do. But I really don't like the idea that he is going to be here. It's kind of like knowing all you have left to eat when you get home is leftovers, and you don't want to spend money on anything else because honestly, you can't right now. So you just accept it. That's how I feel about Joe Schoen. Thanks for spending some time with me tonight, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And don't forget to check out our online store. Go to nygbluezone.com. We've got all types of merch. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers. We appreciate you guys. Don't forget, leave a comment, and we'll continue to provide the engagement. Go Big Blue.
Yeah, a lot of girls probably crying from my old high school. Look, they see me everywhere they go, I probably would too. Look, crossed over to the Jordan man like I'm Michael. Yeah, eating blessings so much I might need lipo. Yeah, tailored for the doves like I'm walking in chucks. Yeah, it's just in this plan, man, I see all y'all shook. Look, knew that I was great ever since I was a rook. Man, all y'all singles making me look good. Okay, praise to the most high, yeah, that's Jesus. Look, but when it come to this rap thing, I can't lose. Yeah, back-to-back number ones, that's the thing greats do. Yeah, tell them boys that ain't nothing I can't do. It's my year, it's my year.